Like,
Not too loud.
is that fine? Does that okay? Okay, I'd like to give a big hand for 7-time Mr. Olympia, Phil Heath. Over to you, Phil.
So, part 2, right? You guys like the training? You like what we're talking about? Yes? Okay, cool. We'll probably be able to get in more of that Q&A stuff. If you happen to miss any of the questions because you were too shy or just drifting off, you'll be able to ask them here in a little bit. So right now I'm going to tell you a few stories, like I mentioned earlier, about different triumphs in my life, different setbacks, this and that. Those whys in the road to help me get to where I'm at today. So, my bodybuilding career started shortly after a 4 years of collegiate basketball in the University of Denver. I had a great time there. Did not make the NBA or anything like that, too damn short, but I was able to take my abilities the best that I could. Luckily for me, I found this sport called bodybuilding. I found the bodybuilding sport by being in class one day, and I majored in both business and IT. Any IT people in here? Hey, so we know about always remembering a semicolon, always remembering to comment our code correctly, so then, yeah, we keep everybody happy, and of course, any type of segmentation fault and bullshit like that is not good. Anyway, so I was somewhat of a nerd back then. I get my nerd out a little bit. Hopefully you guys can teach me something later. I was in a comp sci class. I was doing SQL, all right? So I was doing SQL 7 back then. And I see my friend's laptop wallpaper, and he has Ronnie Coleman, Flex Wheeler, I think it was Nasser, and Kevin Levrone. I'm like, okay, why do you have these guys on here? I've got Brooke Burke ass naked on my wallpaper. And he was like, they're professional bodybuilders. I go, well, I assume that that's what they're doing with these posing trunks on. What is this about? He goes, well, if you really want to learn more about it, come meet me in the gym later. And I'm like, oh, in the gym, because being an athlete, you have a separate gym than the students have. So I went to the gym, and I was just amazed to see like all of the people that I pretty much went to college with in the gym working out. Although they weren't, scholarship athletes, they just to see their bodies in motion, running, squatting, lifting, curling, they were putting out really good effort, and I thought, man, that's pretty dope. How can I get down with this? So I started training, ended up going to a couple bodybuilding shows, ended up getting tricked into doing my first bodybuilding show, literally. Just two guys saying, hey man, I think you can do it. I was like, there's no way in hell I can go from wearing baggy ass Jordan shorts to little banana hammocks on stage. There's no way in hell I'm gonna do this. I'm too damn frightened, because it's like having a really bad dream. I'm sure we've all had a dream where we were like butt naked or something with a t-shirt on or something, walking around, or maybe that's just me. Okay. Maybe I put that in the universe and that's how I ended up here today. All right, so I ended up becoming a bodybuilder officially on October 8th, 2002. How do I remember that? Well, I went on this website called eBay and purchased a 2.1 megapixel camera. Do you even know what a 2.1 is? No one really remembers those days, right? But that's what I bought, and I was still living with my teammates that played basketball, and they were still playing. So I waited for all of them to leave, and I did my first, I wouldn't call it selfie, but it was back then considered a selfie. I said, that's when you set it and you timed it, and then you do what? You like wait for the blink, the red light, and it starts blinking faster, and then you kind of do what I call J.C. Penney catalog poses, and you're like, I did all those corny ass poses that I see maybe not some of you, but some of the people that I see online. I see some of the corniest shit, and I'm like, well, that was you 20 years ago, dude. Like, quit trying to make fun. But, I went into it primarily because I wanted to look good and to feel amazing. And I wanted to have control over my life, because I did realize that everything outside of this gym, I have to kind of submit to certain things. I can't change the weather. I can't change people's thoughts. I can't change the cars that are driving down the street. I just can't change certain things. But I can change how I feel. I can change my attitude. And I can definitely change my physique. So, you know, I got into a show, April 4th, 2003. I won the whole thing, but it didn't come easy. Long story short, here I am asleep the night before or getting ready to go to sleep. I begged my teammates. So I'm like, please, I know you're gonna go out tonight. And usually, I already know, bro, you're bringing the whole campus, the whole school back to the house to hand out red cups, to hand out beer. Can you go to her house? Please. I will give you 2 kegs of beer next week if you host it at your house. Okay, I already talked to your boyfriend. I already got it. Can you do that? Oh, sure, Phil, no problem. Come about 2:30 in the goddamn morning. Here I am hearing nothing but footsteps, because I'm living downstairs in the basement. Nothing but footsteps, hollering, people screaming, and DJ Tiesto on the loudspeakers. I flipped my shit. I mean, I'm a very chill, lovable, laughable guy. I did, with these green eyes, I did turn into the freaking Incredible Hulk that night. I'm like flipping over tables. I'm like, because yelling at people, and I'm thinking, you guys just don't understand what I put into to go into a competition. You don't respect the food. You make fun of me all the time. You just think this is a joke. This is not a joke. And you really look even worse when you're like flipping out, having a meltdown, trying to explain something to someone who knows nothing about your craft. But I ended up winning that show. I ended up winning a few more. I ended up doing that same show was the show that anybody ever see the picture of Jay Cutler and I, you know, like the holding hands and all that shit. That was that show. Met him backstage and then that following year, I ended up seeing him again. And then 2005, as I was getting ready for the Junior Nationals, I saw him there. We spoke, and he said that I should be pro. I'm going to turn pro. I'm going to probably make some money and get some endorsements. I ended up getting a photo shoot with Flex Magazine, Muscle Fitness. Next thing you know, I'm getting ready to do the Junior Nationals. Back then, I was working 2 jobs. I was working as a retail manager at a gym called Valley Total Fitness. I was selling nutritionals, apparel, membership, whatever you needed, right? I was working about 40 to 55 hours a week. Then I'd spend another 15 hours working at a bar. Bodybuilding, as we know, is a very, very expensive hobby, and it requires a lot of money to get what you want. You want beef chuck or you want beef tenderloin, it's going to cost. There's a difference. You want whey protein concentrate or isolate, there's a big difference. So I was doing all that, and then I realized, gosh damn, I'm running out of money. And I've already committed to this Junior National show. And when they say it rains, it pours, well, what I'm about to tell you is definitely an example of that. As I'm getting ready to go to the gym, about probably 3 weeks out, I do a guest posing, which was really, really cool because I didn't get paid. And when you're a bodybuilder, you're like, well, if I don't get paid, what else do I get? Well, he gave me like these coupons to go to like a teriyaki chicken bowl place. I was like, well, that's just as good as gold right now because I'm broke as hell. So I was like, what else can I get? And he was like, well, if you turn pro, you know, we'll talk. So I was like, okay. I'm working hard, training hard, this and that. Next thing I know, we talk about it rains and pours. I'm driving out of my apartment complex, and there's a flood outside. My car starts floating in this water, and I'm literally getting my car pushed by a bus because the bus could get through it. I was driving a 1990 Acura Integra, thinking that I was Paul Walker in Fast and Furious. So it was, you know, very low profile, this and that. And I'm thinking, man, this is some bullshit. Like, this is bad. Like, I need help. That car ended up getting pushed into a mortuary, which was really odd. It was almost like it was meant to happen. Now I have no transportation, 3 weeks out from a show, have no money. I'm like, you can get a bus pass, a bicycle, or bum rides from friends. I did all three. I made sure I lived in the gym because a lot of the time I couldn't get a ride home. So I just figured, well, I'll work my shift, maybe work a double shift, and then in between just eat my meals, and that way I can make a little bit extra money and stuff like that. So I ended up doing the junior nationals with $43 that I had. I ended up doing the prejudging. I kicked some lot of ass. You know, I was kicking some ass that day. Ended up running into this gentleman by the name of Flex Wheeler. Flex Wheeler ends up buying me lunch, trying to persuade me to join muscular development, because back then publication deals were at an all-time high. If you were a good bodybuilder, you would get sponsored by a publication company, and they would tell your story, they would preach your gospel, and you would get a nice check from it. I was actually getting this opportunity at the same time that Weider Health and Fitness was offering me the same deal. So now I had a bidding war going on and this and that, and all I'm thinking about is like making sure that my tan is right, because if I don't win this show, I don't know if the deal's gonna happen. Well, I ended up winning the show, and I really enjoyed that process. But then I realized one thing: I still don't have a car. So I fly back home. Next thing you know, they tell me, don't fly home, fly to LA. You're gonna meet Joe Weider. I'm like, the Joe Weider? Yes. I'm like, okay. I go over there. I meet him. I get a contract bonus check. I'm like, what? I get the salary plus a bonus? What do you think I did with that bonus? Got another car, right? So I go to the car dealership. I'm all excited and stuff. I have shit credit, so I have to call up mom. Hey mom, I'm getting a car. This and that. Can you? Okay. Make sure you pay on time. Like, okay, I got it. So what does a guy do when he gets a brand new car? He goes home. Okay. He washes the car, cleans the wheels, puts the armor all around the tires. Got to make sure they're nice. And then I pull out a folder full of these things called CDs and put them into this thing called a 6-disc CD changer. I go back inside. Back then, there was a lot of commonality, I believe, because of me being fresh on the scene and being a light-skinned black guy with light eyes. Everybody used to say, oh, you remind me of Sean Ray. I said, I might as well start training like this guy or start looking like him, right? What did he wear in the magazines back then? The short shorts with the tight tank top, or you guys call it singlet, so singlet and the bandana. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready. 2 weeks out from the USA's now for my first attempt at a pro card, was my only attempt. I get in the car, driving down the street, next thing you know, 2 blocks later, I get rear-ended. How does that happen? I don't know. Life happens, right? I get out of the car, I pretty much go, get the fuck out of the car. No, seriously, you get the fuck out of the car. He's like, oh. I point at his dad, you get the fuck out of the car. He's like, what? Him. Now the cops come. Now I gotta settle down. So I tell the cop, I go, this motherfucker, I'm gonna kill him. Sir, you can't tell me that you're gonna kill someone. I just did. I just bought this damn car. I'm going through some shit right now. I need this car. I just bought this car, man. If you just bought this car, provide me the pink slip to the car. Oh, this one? Cop says, well, I'll be damned. You bought this 2 hours and 46 minutes ago. Holy shit. Sucks for you, man, but he's gonna get a ticket and you guys can go work it out. Okay. 3 days later, I'm pulling up, doing laundry, getting my stuff sorted for the USA's. My back goes out. Why? Because after that accident, I still went to the damn gym. Because what bodybuilder wouldn't go to the gym after he got into a 3-car accident? I mean, that's what we do, right? We're pretty fucking stupid, but we do what we gotta do to get where we wanna go. Nothing can stand in our way, right? So I do the USA's. I win the USA's. I go on to do my first pro show, the Sean Ray Pro-Am. and I win the show. Thank God there was no accidents or nothing like that. Everything was good. So I thought. I do the show. I win the Fans Choice Award, get $1,000. Cool, man, get $1,000. First place, $25,000. Wow, this is great. All up until the point I realized when I go to the bank, not with that big check, but because I always, when they give you that big check, don't you think like, so do I bring this shit to the bank? So I was like, how does this work? They're like, no, we give you the real, like, so he's writing out the check. He gives it to me, I go to the bank, shows the deposit. I said, you always ask, like, can I get a slip before and after deposit? Because I'm a nerd, and I want to make sure that I'm doing everything very meticulously. Could you believe that check bounced? For some reason, the promoter did not put the money in escrow, so then the funds did not clear. What do you think happened? What do you think happened? Froze the account and created a negative $25,000. So I only had maybe like $3,000 in there, so I'm showing like negative $22,000. Like after a show, you're still emotional, so you're like heart palpitating, like sweating, pissed off, and I have a show in 5 days in New York. And now I have to fly back out to LA to go do a photo shoot. Now mind you, this is where I realized that when you decide to become a professional, you put all of your personal things aside to still do what? Your job as a professional. So when I was doing interviews, I did not bring up what happened. I did the photo shoots, I did the interviews, because look, at the same time I was being filmed at the time by a guy by the name of Chris Lund. I'm sure you probably have heard of him. A lot of those Flex magazines that you guys have in there are his photos. He's incredible. I did not want to disrespect him and waste his time by moping around, even though I lost money. That would sooner or later get resolved. Problem was that the banks would say, well, we'll give you $250 today, and then maybe $500 in 2 days, and then once we work it out with and by that time I go mute. I don't give a shit. Give me my freaking money. I gotta fly out to New York. I gotta do a show. Well, I end up getting ready to do the show, doing meal prep and all that good stuff. Put it in the suitcase, ready to rock and roll. Could you believe? Let me pause for a second. You know there's a difference between a white man's story and a black man's story? Ever hear this one? You ever hear this joke? Oh, you haven't. Let me tell you. The difference, she's laughing. She's like, she's waiting for this one. You really want to hear this one? Yeah? The difference between a white man's story and a black man's story is, white man's story usually starts once upon a time in a far, far land. Black man's story? Man, you wouldn't believe this fucking shit right here, player. Oh my God. I am at the fucking gate, getting ready to get on the plane and realize that I done left that damn suitcase back at the Residence Inn in Southern California. Can you believe this shit? I have no food for the week, and I have no money, and no one's there to help. But I gotta get on a 6-hour flight to New York, where I'm staying 55th North Church Street, which is right across the street from Ground Zero. Okay? That means it's a very expensive area. It's near Wall Street. So every restaurant, the room service is ridiculous. Luckily for me, I made a friend after I turned pro with the guy who got the second pro card, Factory Mood Rack, and I made friends with him. I took care of him when he was in California, because I never liked seeing people eat alone, especially when you have commonality. I didn't know him, but I knew that we were both doing photo shoots, and I was like, man, why don't you come over with me? I got family, let's go have dinner. And he reciprocated that week for the New York Pro. I went from contest weight the previous week at 212 pounds to 208.6 pounds at the New York Pro. Still won. Beat a guy named Dennis James, George Farah, King Kamali, and another guy with a weird haircut named Kai Green. What I learned by that process is that I could really still win. I was still winning, right? From the first show to the next show to the next show. I was able to deal with what? Hard shit, stupid shit. But it's called life. When I was getting ready for the 2009 Mr. Olympia contest, I had just placed third in my first Mr. Olympia. So of course, I'm going into 2009 thinking, I'm definitely going to win, especially because Jay Cutler at that time just got dethroned by Dexter Jackson, a much smaller, more aesthetic, as they call it, bodybuilder. So I'm thinking, well, I look more like Dexter than I ever will look like Jay. So going into that prep, I put everything into it, right? Just like everybody saying, I put everything into it, everything into it. Next thing you know, Thursday night comes, you do the press conference and you do a meet and greet. You meet people from literally over 30, 40 countries that flew in to come see us all compete. I had a pretty decent line. Did that for like 3 hours. Next thing you know, I am sick for pretty much 4.5, 5 hours, throwing up. I lost 16 pounds. Food poisoning, whatever. It was literally your hopes and dreams of being Mr. Olympia that night or that next night, literally in the toilet. And, you know, when I get sick like that, like I can't get sick from training or even drinking. The only time I ever throw up is if I have food poisoning. And anybody that competes, their immune system is always compromised. So it could have been from, you know, shaking hands with people. It could have been maybe I left some food out, or it was mishandled. It was undercooked, whatever it is. All I know is that I got EMTs in my room telling me that I have to go to the hospital and that I need to give up on this Olympia thing. And fortunately enough, one of the EMTs was a bodybuilder himself, and he said, if you throw up one more time while we're here, if you go one more time, we gotta take you. But if you can just hold it together, we will leave, and I'll convince my boss to just let you be. I said, okay. That's when you're doing the prayer to God. I worked so hard, and it wasn't even about winning, because at that point in time, I knew I was gonna win. But I knew it was about the people I just met, and I didn't want to just give up like that. So I did the show. Jay got his title back in 2009. I got 5th place, and it sucked. Because at the time, you know, as a professional athlete, you have these things called sponsors. So you also realize that you have contracts to be renegotiated, and it's usually based on what? Performance, right? It's not by how much smiles you have and how well you speak. Sometimes that'll help, but the numbers don't lie. So regardless of me getting sick, it wasn't anything I did. I didn't induce that myself. The company I was with, instead of doubling my income, they offered me a 6% increase. 6%, I'm like, how do you figure this out? Anyway, I basically was like, you know what? This ain't gonna be for me. The next day, I ended up going into a photo shoot with the late Joe Weider. It was the last time Joe Weider was going to do a photo shoot. But what made it really cool and really special, very memorable, is that we had athletes from both Muscular Development magazine and also Flex magazine. So imagine it's like having the late Stan Lee. Anybody know what Stan Lee is, right? It's like having Marvel and DC in one place. That would be pretty awesome. Marvel would still kick the shit out of them, but it is what it is. I mean, one snap, right? I mean, it's done. But it was so cool. But before that happened, I was interviewed by Greg Merritt, and he had said, why are you here 2 hours before the shoot doing legs, of all things, after you've just been throwing up and you just placed 5th after having a 3rd place finish the previous year? To summarize, I just said, basically, this is going to be a defining moment in not only my bodybuilding career, but in my entire life. because I'm proving to myself how stubborn I am. That even God himself will realize that Phil Heath is so driven and so damn stubborn that even if I don't have it in the cards with him and he happens to get sick or get injured, he's still gonna train. He's still gonna work hard. He's still gonna push through, and I'm gonna have to be like, well, gotta bless you, son, because you're just too hard-headed to listen. And that's how I went after it. I was like, you know what? He was like, but you're not gonna really grow anything. I said, it's not about growing the muscles at this point. It's about growing my mind and growing my soul. See, we always follow people online for daily motivation and stuff like that. I'll brag a little bit. They don't have stories like that. They don't have moments like that. Maybe they did have it, but they punked out, and they, instead of went back to the gym because they're thinking, well, I'm not gonna grow. They forget that it's about growing as a character. So I was able to utilize that in that following year, because I always feel like your attitude will dictate how far you go in life. Do the Arnold Classic, up by 3 points after pre-judging, lose by 7 at the night show. Very, very weird. It's never really talked about online. It's still mind-boggling to me. Largest bodybuilding point swing in history. But you know what I didn't do? I didn't cry about it. You know what I did do? I said, I'll never lose to Kai Green again. I'll get stubborn, and I'll get hard, and I'll get hard mentally, but not emotionally. I will allow my emotions to take me to where I need to go, and I will reduce all of the negative noise that will come and try to create fear and disruption to where I want to go and where I belong. I do the 2010 Olympia. I'm training hard, doing all that shit. I'm training, focused, right? And then we see the final two, Jay Cutler and myself, right? And we all know how Bob Ciccarello likes to be at the very end. We all know, right? And then next name I read for the 2010 Mr. Olympia. It's pretty good Bob Chick, right? And he goes, Jay Cutler, and that whole crowd goes wild, all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, hugs. Hey man, you did great. Love you, this and that. See you at the after party, cool. That night I review the video. That next night I review the video. By that second night, or that third night I guess, I reviewed the video, I got very pissed off. I challenge each and every one of you to go online on YouTube later tonight, or whenever you have time, type in 2010 Mr. Olympia, Phil Heath, Jay Cutler, and you'll see the final result. Just fast forward to the final result. And you'll see, as Jay Cutler gets announced, I exhale. Just like this. Just like that. Just like that. Why in the hell did I exhale like this? I exhaled not because I made it through the finish in the previous year. I got sick and, you know, I felt like I won the Arnold and I beat Kai and this and that. I exhaled because I realized how safe I became. Safe from what? From the high expectations it would be to win. I literally realized it, and I showed it in my body language, that I wasn't emotionally ready for what the universe was gonna provide. I looked freaking awesome in that show. I know I peaked at that show, and I arguably could have won. But when my soul was not connected to the rest of, when it was not, everything else, the mentality to go train, the discipline to go train, the ability to grow the muscles, all this other stuff, and then my emotions aren't intact the same way, you exhale because of what else? You're now the underdog. You're the person that people walk up to and say, hey man, I had you winning, bro. You look great. You got fucking robbed, man. Coming back next year. You keep fighting, man. Like, you keep doing it. We've all heard that. We've probably even written it to some people and stuff. Yeah, man, you got robbed, bro. You got robbed. She's like, hell yeah, I got robbed, shit. But that person that is receiving that also starts going, yeah, they're right. You know what I started doing? I was like, they might be right, but they don't know what I know. I know that I was being one big fat fucking pussy and did not want to claim what I dreamed about in life. I wasn't claiming the Olympia title. I was talking about it. And then I realized I was being fake to everybody in the world. Everybody I get to interact with, everybody I get those articles written about me and all that cool stuff, because social media really wasn't around at that time the way it is today. Oh yeah, how do you feel? Oh yeah, I'm training hard and this and that. Training hard? Yes. Training your muscles hard, not training your heart so hard. Because when it was time to step up, when it was time for you to get that job, that promotion that you've been wanting, that house, that car, that vacation and stuff, when it was time to really step up, or when it was that time to ask her out on a date or ask her to marry you, you punk out. That moment that you knew that you deserved it all, for some reason, you had some fear that yourself, or you want to go to the nth degree and see what you're really made of. Because right then and right at that moment, I realized in 2010, I wasn't even scratching the surface of what I could be, because I stood in my own way. So after that, I said, I'm not doing another interview without owning this. That means I got to look in the mirror, stay in that mirror. I'm going to do it. So pretty much for a long time, I would use that mirror as an accountability partner and say, Phil, you're going to win. Phil, what is your problem with owning what you want? Say what you want. Say it. Do you really want to be Mr. Olympia? You know what's going to be ahead of you, because I watched Ronnie win, and I watched Ronnie get hated on. I watched Ronnie really get hated on, and then Jay came, and everybody was like, peace has been restored, you know, and this and that and the other, and everybody screaming and hollering. I was there when when Ronnie lost his last one, and Jay won his first one, okay? I saw the shift, and I saw how people talked. You don't think I carried that stupid ass noise when I was getting ready? That's why I did that shit. Because I saw, I'm too worried about what everybody else is thinking. The expectations are too high. I'm gonna get ridiculed. I'm gonna have so much high expectation. I don't know how high I can go. I already did this before I even earned it. I didn't give myself a chance. So 2011, I was like, oh hell no. I'm gonna go all out, because you know what? I'd rather believe in myself than go halfway and get second again, and then be what? A poor version of myself? Having false bravado? Not being able to really later on come to here and instill these same qualities that I learned through experience, through hardship, through vulnerability, through pain, more emotionally than ever, to make sure you take this shit with you and you become accountable, so you can go get what the hell you want and what you deserve, and you go claim that shit. That's what I did. And when I won that whole thing, when I won in 2011, it was like a life, it was so great. Life flashed before my eyes. And it was one of those things where, like, when they say life flashed before your eyes, usually when you're about to die or some shit happened, you know, but this was like something positive. It went all the way back to when I was 5, 7, 13, et cetera, all these different Y's in a row, different things that happened through my parents being together, being divorced, being with my stepdad, watching us get robbed twice before Christmas, watching friends get killed, friends go to jail, me, you know, go to college, me get into bodybuilding, have no money, this and that and the other, to still believing in myself, and then winning the freaking Mr. Olympia, becoming the 13th person on the planet Earth with 8 billion fucking people, to say that I did that, it was all worth it. It was all worth it. So I took that with me, and I went in 2012, I went in 2013. When 14 came, that was tough, because I had to realize you're gonna start catching some shit. People gonna stop, you know, they ain't gonna want you to win every year. It's like, I even had family members be like, man, you know, it'd be cool, like if it's Dennis Wolf won. I'm like, the fuck out of my house, man. Are you crazy? Seriously, like your own friends and family would say this shit because why? It's just a human response. We feel sorry for one another. If I coached kids, I would never give them a participation trophy ribbon ever. Ever. Why? Because can you believe this? Anyone believe in participation medals? It's okay if you believe in them. You don't have to agree with me. Okay, can you believe they give us one at the Olympia? Do you know where mine are? I sure as hell don't know. When I went to my first Olympia in 2008, I didn't get the Sandow, but back then you used to get like 3 medals. Now you only get 1. You got 3 medals, right? What I was thinking in 2009, I didn't even tell you this yet. I'm standing on stage, and I know that I'm not going to be top 3, but I kept praying to God, I just want to be top 3. I just want to be top 3. Please, I just want to be top 3. Because I wanted that medal. Even if it was a bronze, I just wanted those medals. Because I didn't want to bring home this participation medal. So by that time in 2013, late of 2013, my dad was not in good shape, and he was looking at dying. And anytime when you get a phone call from your parents, loved one, saying you need to get your ass home. I was living in Denver, where I currently reside, and I'm from Seattle, Washington. And I said, okay. And I had been frequently traveling back and forth to go visit my pops. And so there he is, not looking so good. Things are about to go down. The doctor looks at me, tries to give you the talk, right? I looked right back at him. I was 5 weeks out before the Olympia. I said, come here. Lay it on me. Tells me what's going on. We like to keep your dad really comfortable and this and that. We do everything we can and this and that. I said, excuse me? He goes, I like to keep him comfortable. He's not eating and this and that and the other. I said, what's his last name? Excuse me? What's his last name? Because mine's Heath, and I believe his is too. I don't follow you. That's my fucking dad. He made me. With my mom, of course. If I have this fire inside of me, I know he's got 10 times more in him. He didn't die until that next spring. Because he found that it was worth it. I'll stay, and he was only given 1 month, and he lasted pretty much an entire year. Okay? What made it special was that I remember being by his bed, and I think I smile when I talk, when I have a cool thing to say. He was always like that. Beautiful man. So beautiful, he even made my fiance's mom, kind of do one of these, I said, this man is dead, you still looking at his pictures, he was hot. I'm like, yeah, he was a good-looking man. He looked like a movie star, charisma. He was a musician, so he had it going on. Always wearing nice clothes, this and that. You know what he told me at his bed? He goes, son, I already know you're gonna win, but you need to bring out a big belt, like the belt I used to whip your ass with. I'm like, yeah, I remember that one. He goes, you need to bring a real big belt, whoop all their ass. I said, yes, sir. He was from where Branch Warren's from, so you could kind of imagine the type of tone he had, He's from literally the same town in Texas. So I won that show. He sent me a nice video. One day I'll release it, but it was one of those videos that made it all true, which was you came, you saw, you conquered, but you're only getting started. And you can do anything you want to do. So fast forward when he passed, I was actually guest posing in Cleveland, Ohio, and I had a guest post, and I looked great, doing my thing, off season's going well. Get in the car, they tell me the bad news. I was like, okay, all right. And it's obviously really quiet with the driver because he's like, shit, what do I tell this guy? Here he was just talking about bodybuilding. Now he's like, I've always wanted to meet Phil Heath, and And I just told him, I said, please take me to a hotel, and I'll get myself cleaned up, get this tanning off, and come back down. Because as you know, usually when you do appearances, you do meet and greets afterwards. Got in the room. For some stupid ass reason, I'm thinking to myself, I should probably post this on Facebook and be like everybody else. So I open up the laptop, I look at it, I slam it down. I said, why am I being like everybody else? I have to post my emotions and shit right away. Can I just have a human experience for once? Can I truly slow myself down and have a human experience? If that means that I have to stay in silence, I stay in silence. If that means I gotta cry my eyes out for 10, 20 minutes, that's what I will do. But I am not gonna use this phone or this computer to go talk to strangers, hoping for validation and, hey, you're gonna be okay. I need to know in the mirror how I feel and accept what happened so that I can do what? Stay a professional, which I did. Went down to the restaurant, told the promoter, give me 10 minutes, used my phone, FaceTime my best friend from college, did a shot, went over there and hung out with fans for 2 hours. Those are those things, guys, that I feel are away from the gym, those life challenges, those things that we all will experience, but yet we have to come back and remind ourselves who we are and how we can earn different merit badges in life by getting hard and staying hard, meaning this is not gonna break me, this is gonna mold me into something bigger. This is gonna mold me into something better. So when I see someone having a similar issue, I can tell that person you're not alone. So, a couple years after that, my stepmom passes. Now I got a brother. Now he's incredibly tall. I can tell that he resided on his mom's side. He's 6'6", 260. Can you believe that shit? And I realized my own brother doesn't have any parents. And he's living in Seattle, and he's pre-med, and he needs resources, and he's high-function autistic. Hence why I have a charity every year at the Arnold Classic with the Make It Fit Foundation for autism awareness. It's like I realize I have higher purpose. I have purpose for myself, I have purpose for my family, I have purpose, for my brother, and I have purpose with you guys. And I felt like I just had a real obligation to just keep going, not quit. Because one thing is true, when you go on Facebook sometimes, you start writing your feelings out and shit, people will say they care, but they ain't really there, man. And you should kind of want to have some space so then you can analyze how you react to certain things and get emotionally stronger and more intelligent. So then that doesn't do what? Distract you from those other goals that you have, because what ends up happening, what's the alternative? What's the alternative? Depression, alcoholism, losing it all. Even during that time, I went through, I had 2 parents die, I had a divorce, I had a company called Gifted Nutrition, embezzled a bunch of money and got us in a heap of trouble that I had nothing to do. Watched the guy pretty much go to jail over it, and I lost about $3.5 million. No one really knew that because I wasn't complaining about it. I was sticking true to what I could control, was winning that damn Olympia. And it was just another merit badge. And then when 2017 came, I remember meeting with Arnold at the Arnold Classic, and he told me that he basically believed in me, and I, pretty much told him I'm paying homage to him, training my ass off, and I really would like to be able to be tied with him because of what he's provided for not just me, but for everybody. Everybody in here. We all know who he is. We all have seen Pumping Iron. Who hasn't? Anyone not see Pumping Iron? Okay, good. So, I was able to stand there face to face to him. And it's really cool when you can actually see your idol and they actually look at you, but you allow yourself to be seen and he connects with you, it was like, holy crap, I'm actually talking to Arnold Schwarzenegger. He knows my name, and we're having a moment, and Dexter Jackson's right there. And he's being very professional and not saying, yes, Phil, you're going to win, and this and that, fuck him, you know, like this and that, the blade, he's more like the butter knife, you know, like, no. Well, the rusty old blade, look at the rusty old blade. But we had that moment. And he actually grabbed me, pulled me in, and gave me a hug, and it was all I needed to win that show. Obviously, after that, I mean, things got different. 2018 didn't go the way I wanted. But the best thing that happened was the result of the 2018 Olympia. Whether I felt like I won, which I did, I felt like I won. Fuck that. But I didn't. Didn't win. And I remember hearing that, standing there, knowing it's coming. It felt like a gunshot. Like, literally, not a stab. Like, literally, like, it really felt like someone had taken a shotgun and just shot me. And I'm like bleeding out. And I don't know what to do. I'm like looking for help, and there's no one there because everybody's so excited. There's plenty of people that were just excited for change, not just rooting for him. And I had to witness it. And then I started making that noise a problem for me instead of embracing that moment, realizing that this is also historic. There's a new champion. You had an off night. Wait a minute, you're human? You haven't placed second since 2010? You're human? You just came off of an injury and a surgery? And you get second in the world at something? Did you ever imagine when you were 10 years old, 20 years old, back at the Junior Nationals with $43 to your name, eating fucking spoiled food? Over at the New York Pro with no money, $20,000 in negative in your bank account? Could you imagine that you already have 7? Tyler, the GOAT? And now you're gonna be pissed and run your mouth, so what do? Go over to Sean, tell him how great he is. And then I always told every competitor this. Thank God that we can make money for ourselves and our families, huh? This is dope. Have a good night. I say it to everybody. Because it is. We didn't get into it thinking that we were going to travel the world. I didn't even need a passport playing basketball at the time because it was just in the United States. I had to get a passport because Kerry Kayes had me come down in 2006 to go to the Warrington show and meet a bunch of you guys. And that's why I kept coming back to the UK as well. Because I always made sure that I said, you know what, whoever I start with is who I'm going to end with. But during that time, I was like, God damn, man, freaking lost, dude. So I allowed that to, resonate. Walked off stage and I said, oh, don't be a hypocrite. Get on one knee. Thank you for everything I got. Good, bad, and ugly. Thank you for giving me the strength to be able to do what I do and the opportunity to be able to showcase it in front of an entire world audience. And I walked off. And then I got pissed. Didn't cry. I thought I was going to. Didn't. I didn't accept it until I had to go get another surgery done, and then I was laid up for 5 months, 4.5, 5 months. Inactivity, couldn't really do anything. And by that time, I started saying to myself this. I started sitting down, and this is what I'm doing in my office. I'm literally in my office with a notepad, a bunch of pens, and a bottle of scotch with no cup. And I then now look up and I go, I guess I wasn't stubborn enough. But I needed to feel these emotions correctly because there has to be a lesson in this. I gotta find the lesson. I'm using that stubbornness into something else, and it's called trying to expand on personal knowledge and growth. I take that notepad, I write down every emotion I had during those 4 or 5 months. Pretty much how I went like this. What the fuck happened? holy shit, I lost. Fuck them, fuck him. What the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck? God damn it, I lost. Why did you lose? This is bullshit. On and on and on and on and on, right? Then as I started getting these words out, and it's not like, it's so much different when you write things down as opposed to venting on Facebook, calling your friends up, because I can become a black hole and be very selfish and call you up and still your entire day away from your friends talking about my fucking problems. Being an energy vampire, as they say, right? Not getting anything done. You're just gonna be saying like, oh, you can always come back and this and that, and life goes on. Yeah, man, yeah. But when I put that pen to the paper and I was writing things down, it was different. Because later on, it started to do what? It started actually removing this weird aberration of realizing that I have a blemish on my record. Wasn't a blemish. I mean, it's just life, dude. It happens. Like, my record is pretty freaking dope, man. And I wasn't doing one major thing. Acknowledging what I have accomplished, not what I didn't. Sometimes it's okay to pat yourself on the back. And I wasn't accepting myself. So as I started writing a little bit more, fuck this, it started turning to, what can I do better next time? How many more weeks do I have before I can start training? What will I do in this time to get myself better emotionally, spiritually, physically, and so all these things? Who do I know within my circle that can assist me with doing some business projects that I've been putting on the back burner because I've been focused so much as being Mr. Olympia than focusing on the end game, like the next chapter of life? What are my next 15 chess moves in life? Anybody play chess? Kasparov, Karpov, you know who they are. There's what? Opening move. There's over 318 billion opening moves. Okay? You got to find out your first 5 and then your next 10. That's what I was focusing on during that time period. By writing down all these emotions, and later on they started becoming more positive. Next thing you know, I started having better conversations with people that had nothing to do about the loss. It had all to do about positivity and good energy and changing my own environment, because we do realize that we are a product of such. You are a product of the average of the 5 people you hang around with the most. So if you hang around with a bunch of dumbasses, a bunch of losers, you'd probably be next. Or maybe you're the biggest dumbass, I don't know. But if you're hanging around people that are striving for their own personal greatness, gosh, imagine the energy that you would consume and the energy that you would radiate for them and for you. Good energy, positive, 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 good thoughts. Even if we challenge each other on different ideas, we're challenging them with great intentions. You're now having you're restoring what? Your soul, man. And in bodybuilding, we sell it very easily and very cheap. In this sport, I think we all know, whether you compete or not, you've seen it all. People sell themselves for very cheap. So I was able to, bounce back, and here I am today with you guys here over at Strength Asylum. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you. We decided to do this. Giles and AJ, they had me on their show, Global Muscle Radio. We had some good rapport. I'm sure you guys have probably seen it. And they brought this opportunity because I thought, you know what I need to do? Go back to the roots, right? When I turned pro and I won my first pro show, I came here. I came back for a tour, not just a handshake tour at the Body Power. That was, that's different. but something more intimate, something that allows you to see me more as Phil Heath instead of Mr. Olympia. Because you hear about Mr. Olympia all the time. I think I dispelled a lot of bullshit about me as Mr. Olympia. I want to leave you with a few things. Number one, no one should care about your success more than you. I'll say it again. No one should care about your success more than you. Okay? When we were all a teenager, I would probably say about 15, 16 years old was when our parents stopped asking, what did you learn at school today? I'm 39. That's over 23 years of not being asked what I learned today. Start asking yourself in that mirror, what did you learn today? And what are you going to do about it? You should be learning something new all the time. The person that has a higher willingness to learn will always reinvent themselves in a great way. You will fail, you will be robbed, you will be mocked, you will have all that stuff. We hear about this stuff. But you also have to continuously challenge yourself and be challenged to get to that next step. It will not always come easy, as I just explained to you. Could you believe some of these stupid ass stories? I mean, it's crazy, man. But I'm thankful for them because I didn't give up. And I had that willingness to learn new things, and no one should care about my success more than anybody else. That's why I train by myself, guys. My training partner can't want it more than me. My coach can't want it. Hani Rambod lives in California. I don't live in California. Doesn't mean he's not a great coach. He's a great coach, awesome coach. But he can't want me to eat, sleep, train, cardio more than me. I have to do that. God forbid something happened to him. That's why your parents get on your ass so much as a kid, because God forbid something happened. Because maybe they won't care. I got to give them everything I got. Start giving a shit about your own life. Start recognizing where your strengths and weaknesses are and flip that around. Weaknesses, then strengths. Have the courage, dare to dream, and be relentless in your pursuit of own personal greatness. People say strive for greatness. I write it on autographs all the time. People talk about they're hungry. Oh man, I'm hungry. I'm hungry. Have you ever been fucking starving though? Starving. You have today's world with technology and the speed of everything with knowledge, everything becomes so competitive that if you do not have the mentality of being starved to get better, you're starving to get better. Think about how many, we've all heard, you gotta stay hungry, man. You gotta stay hungry for that shit, bro. Have you ever heard someone say to you, starve? You gotta starving for this. No, because that takes another level. That takes a place where you have to go into maybe a dark place that is uncomfortable as hell, because you know that someone close to you is not going to accept you. They're going to misunderstand you. They're gonna mock you, man. They're gonna hurt your feelings. It's gonna hurt. But you gotta wipe that shit and you gotta ask yourself, is it worth it? And if the answer is yes, if it's 5% yes, then you do it. You do it because your soul is crying out. Just do it, just do it, just do it. Just do it. Stop second guessing yourself, Phil. Just do it. You just never know what, if you fuck this up, Phil, you're gonna regret this for the rest of your life because you are too scared of yourself. There is no boogeyman. I've looked far and wide. I'm still a little afraid of the dark. Don't act like you're not afraid of the dark. Okay, if it was pitch black in your house and you had to, you know it's pitch black and you have to like turn off the light before you go to bed and there's no one in there, you do like this and you fucking run real quick. Don't be acting like I'm the only one that's ever done it. But seriously, why be afraid? Because you know what's gonna happen when you become afraid? Your friend actually gets that job. They get that promotion. They win that contest. And you know what you do? You make excuses. point fingers. Oh, he only got it because of, the minute you start, oh, he only got it because of, or it must be nice and this and that. Really? Maybe it was because they cared about their success more than anything. And they were willing to put out the work when no one was watching. So while you're pointing fingers, guess how many fingers point back at me? See how many of these? Next time you hear somebody talking politics or this or that, they pointing fingers. And you start doing it too. Catch yourself right there and say, that's bullshit. That's life. It happens. But damn, if I could get better, that will never happen again. If I can get 1% better, that probably won't happen again. But I have to have the courage. And guys, I can't do this for you. Your friends can't do it for you. Those people on Facebook, Instagram, they cannot do it for you. They can provide encouragement. I'm not saying that you shouldn't go online and see someone that you find commonality with and this and that. But even a Gary Vee can't do it for you. A Tony Robbins can't do it for you. Phil Heath can't do it for you. Can. But if you get into that rhythm, just like how you doing here. They say, we all started somewhere. You ever see those pictures that says, even Mr. Olympia started here or started somewhere? But also in life, that's how you grow wisdom. But you gotta be fearless. Sorry. Otherwise, you're gonna get your ass kicked, and you're gonna get kicked and stomped out, and you're gonna get bitter instead of getting better. Don't get bitter, get better, stay hard, train smart, have fun. And I'll leave you with this. Each and every one of us have a gift. Please learn about it, be passionate about it. And when it's your turn, you share it. I don't care what it is. I guess I have to add one last thing on top of that. We are all directors, producers, actors in this film of life. Each and every one of you are living your own personal film, from the beginning to the end. You are the director, the producer, the lead actor of your life. Control it. Okay? It's worth it. Heck, I believe it. So I just want to say thank you guys. I know Giles and AJ are going to have a couple questions.